After a long work trip, I came home to a new fence in our yard. It cut right through my garden. I asked my wife about it. She said, "The neighbor helped while you were gone." I walked over to ask why, he said. "She asked for it. She lives here more than you do now." Then he handed me a set of keys to my own shed. "She said you wouldn't need this anymore. I work in construction. Been doing it for over 20 years. I travel when they need me to manage big projects. It pays well. I've always supported my home, always paid the bills, fixed what needed fixing, and made sure Stacy had what she needed. We were married for 17 years. I thought we were okay. Not great, but okay. We didn't fight much. She didn't work much either, just a few hours a week at a dentist's office. We had no kids, just a quiet house in Cedar Rapids with a backyard I loved. That garden, man, that was my pride. I built raised beds, put in irrigation, even had a little greenhouse. It kept me sane when I was home. I'd be out there every morning when I wasn't working, pruning, watering, just being in it. Then I got sent to South Dakota. 6 weeks, out of town. It was the longest job I'd had in a while. I called Stacy every day. She sounded fine. Bored maybe, but fine. She said she was going for walks, watching shows, even said the neighbor helped her with a couple things around the house. I came home on a Thursday afternoon. I was exhausted, sunburned, sore, and just wanted to sleep in my own bed. I parked my truck, got out, and stared at something that didn't make sense. A fence. A brand new cedar fence cutting straight across the backyard. And not just around the yard, it went right through the garden. Half of it was gone. Ripped out. The greenhouse was locked up. There was a lawn chair set up on the other side of the fence, right where my tomatoes used to be. I stood there for a full minute, just staring. Then I walked around to the back door. Stacy was sitting on the porch, drinking sweet tea like nothing was wrong. "What the hell is this?" I asked, pointing at the fence. She looked up and shrugged. "Oh. Rick helped me build it while you were gone. I thought the yard needed more privacy." "Through my garden?" "Our garden," she said like that made it okay. I couldn't even speak. I turned and walked straight next door. Rick came to the door in jeans and a tank top, smirking like he was expecting me. "Hey there," he said, all casual. "Back already? What's with the fence?" He stepped out, didn't even pretend to be confused. "She asked me to help her. Said she wanted it done before you got back. She said she wanted to split the yard. Her space, your space." I blinked. "That garden was mine. I built it. She said you wouldn't need it anymore." Then he pulled out a set of keys. "Here." I looked down. 3 keys on a ring. One of them was the red key to my shed. My tool shed. I knew every tool in there by memory. She told me to hang on to these. Said you weren't gonna be around much, and I could use the tools to keep things fixed around here. I didn't take the keys. I walked away. That night I slept in the guest room. Didn't talk to her. Didn't eat. Didn't answer her when she asked if I was okay. Next morning, I went out early and looked over the fence again. My side was a mess. Her side had a brand new lounge chair, some potted plants, even a wind chime. My greenhouse was still locked, but now with a different padlock. She changed the lock on my greenhouse. I didn't even go back inside. I got in my truck and drove straight to my brother's house on the other side of town. I told him everything. "Sounds like she's already moved on," he said. "You're just the guy paying the bills now." That hit hard. And I started thinking. About the missing tools. The sudden fence. The casual way she sat there drinking tea. Rick's smirk. Something had been going on while I was gone. So I started digging. I didn't go home for 3 days. I stayed with my brother, and during that time, I started looking into everything. First, I called the electric company. I had them check the usage at my house for the past 2 months. It was higher than usual. A lot higher. Like someone had been using the shed for more than just storage. Then I drove by the house late one night. I didn't go in, I just parked a block away and walked over. From the alley, I could see the shed light was on. It was past midnight. The light wasn't flickering either. It was steady. Like someone was out there, working. That same night, I texted a friend of mine who used to be a cop. I asked if he still had access to license plate checks. He did. I gave him Rick's plate number. 2 days later, my friend called me back. Rick had been parking his truck at my house almost every night while I was gone. Starting 3 weeks into my trip. Sometimes overnight. Sometimes all day. He'd also been pulled over once, right outside a motel, in the next town over. And he wasn't alone. My wife was in the passenger seat. So I knew. They were sleeping together. They weren't even hiding it. Hell, the fence was probably a way to mark their little shared space. And giving him my shed key? That was like Stacy saying, "You live here now." It wasn't just betrayal. It was full-on disrespect. Right in my face. I didn't blow up. I didn't scream. I didn't call her. I planned. First, I changed all my banking passwords. Cancelled the joint credit card. I went to the bank and moved my paycheck deposit to a new account. I called a lawyer, one my brother used when he got divorced. Told him everything. He said, "Get proof. Get video. Get texts. Get everything." So that's what I did. I bought a few cameras. Not the obvious ones. These were small, battery-powered, Wi-Fi enabled. I snuck back into the house early one morning while Stacy was at work. Set one up in the living room. One in the hallway. One facing the shed from the alley. I hid another one inside the greenhouse, behind some old crates. Then I waited. It didn't take long. Within 2 days I had video of Rick letting himself into the shed, using my tools, drinking my beer from the mini fridge, and making himself way too comfortable. But the real gold came a few nights later. I caught Stacy and Rick on the back patio, laughing, kissing, talking about how I was never coming back. She said, and I quote, "Once the divorce is done, I'm putting the house in my name. He won't fight it. He's too tired." Too tired? That was the moment the switch flipped in me. She thought I'd roll over. Let her take my home, my garden, my tools, my life? No. I made copies of the videos. Sent them to my lawyer. I also printed out the phone logs, emails, and credit card statements. Turns out, she'd been using my money to pay for a hotel room with Rick more than once. My lawyer smiled when he saw the file I dropped on his desk. "This'll be fun," he said. And it was just getting started. A week later, Stacy got served. At work. I told my lawyer to make sure of that. She was at the front desk when the papers were handed to her in front of her coworkers. I wasn't there, but I heard from someone who worked at the clinic that she turned red, then white, and just walked out. Didn't say a word. I filed for divorce citing infidelity, misappropriation of marital assets, and unauthorized property modification. The lawyer filed an emergency injunction to freeze any sale or transfer of property, house, tools, even the shed. Everything was locked down. That same night, I went back home for the first time since I left. I didn't knock. I walked in, past her shocked face, and said, "I'm taking inventory of what's mine." She started yelling, asking how I could do this. I told her calmly that I'd seen the videos. Heard everything she and Rick said. That got her quiet real fast. She said it was just a fling. And she didn't think I'd take it so personally. I laughed in her face. Then I said, "You gave another man keys to my shed and told him I didn't live here anymore. Now I don't. But neither do you." She tried to argue, but I didn't care. I took what I needed, my tools, my files, everything that was mine before the marriage, and left. Next day, she tried to drain the joint account. Too late. I'd already closed it. Then came the surprise twist, Rick. He was in the house one afternoon when I had to come by with my lawyer and a sheriff to serve the court order preventing them from destroying or selling any property. Rick tried to act tough at first. Said it was his house now. The deputy looked him in the eye and said, "Sir, you don't live here. You're trespassing. You've got 5 minutes to leave." Rick didn't say another word. Just walked out. Stacy followed him out with tears in her eyes, saying, "You said this would be easy." That's when I realized something. They thought I'd just give up. They thought I was weak. But Rick was broke. I'd looked him up. No job, just handyman gigs. 2 divorces. Behind on child support. And Stacy? She made maybe $1,000 a month at the clinic. She couldn't even pay the mortgage without me. The house was in both our names. But I had the financial records, the texts, the video proof. The judge saw everything. During the hearing, my lawyer played the footage of Rick holding my shed key and saying, "She said you wouldn't need this anymore." The courtroom went dead silent. My lawyer leaned in and said, "We've got this locked." But then, something else happened that changed everything. A month into the case, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was Rick's ex-wife. She said, "I heard what happened. I think we should talk. I've got something you'll want to see." What she showed me blew the whole thing wide open. Continue up to the ending. Ending must be very dramatic, vengeful endings who made mistakes, including OP if applicable. Use simple words. Rick's ex-wife, Tammy, met me at a diner on the edge of town. She brought a folder with her. Inside were copies of texts, bank statements, And 2 photos I couldn't believe. One was of Stacy. With Rick. From almost 2 years ago. The second one? Stacy signing something at a county office with Rick standing beside her. What is this? I asked. She slid a piece of paper across the table. It was a land use permit. Dated last year. Filed under both their names. Stacy had signed as if she was co-owner of Rick's remodeling business. She wasn't just cheating on me, she had been helping him get business loans. Using my home address. They'd been in this long before I ever left town. Tammy leaned forward. They tried to pull this on me too. Rick used my name to take out a loan. Left me stuck with debt. I figured he was up to something again when he started flashing cash. I thanked her and asked if she'd be willing to testify. She didn't hesitate. Court was brutal. Stacy looked like a ghost sitting at the defendant's table. Rick didn't show, he'd skipped town the week before, probably because he found out I was suing him for damages to my property and illegal use of my shed and tools. The judge granted a bench warrant for him. Stacy tried to act like she didn't know what Rick had done. But it was all on paper. Her name was on permits, loan paperwork, texts, hell, even video of her bragging about how Rick knows how to get money. And knows people. The judge wasn't impressed. Here's how it ended. I got full ownership of the house. The judge called the fence intentional destruction of personal property and ruled in my favor. Stacy was ordered to pay damages, court fees, and lost property value. She cried when she found out how much it was. Over $30,000. I got my tools back. Everything. The shed, greenhouse, every last hammer. Rick's truck was repossessed 3 days after the ruling. Stacy moved in with her sister. The clinic let her go after word got out about the lawsuit. And me? I sold the house 2 months later. Got a solid price. Moved to a smaller place with a bigger yard. Planted a new garden. One that nobody touches but me. I wish I could say I walked away clean. Truth is, I stayed too long. I ignored signs. I let myself believe she still cared. But I got the last word. Before I left the old house for good, I took one last look around. Everything packed. Clean. I walked out to the shed, turned off the light, and locked it with a new key. On the inside, I hung a little sign. I still live here. And I do. Just not with her.